Hello, I'm Richard Murphy, and I want to talk about a particularly important point in UK political economy. I say political economy quite deliberately because there is nothing, frankly, about economics which is not political, and so the two are always intimately linked. And the point which I'm making is that actually we don't have a choice in UK politics between the left and the right, and the two will never meet. Actually, most of our economy is somewhere around there, in the middle. It is where the private sector and the state sector join together to create well-being for us all. And this is what a mixed economy is. We've had one for as long as we can remember, certainly as long as anyone who's alive can remember, of course. And since the Second World War, it has been our complete model of economics. The state has met certain of our needs in the UK virtually completely. Most people are educated by the state. Most people's healthcare is provided by the state. Large parts of our transport system are supported by the state in some way or other, and on and on. And there are some things that, frankly, the state does very little of. It doesn't provide much in the way of entertainment services. It doesn't provide many restaurants. It doesn't provide cinemas. It doesn't provide much in the way of retailing. And that's good because, by and large, we want choice that the private sector provides. The fact is, both of those things are good. The state has a role to play in our lives. The private sector has a role to play in our lives. For anyone to argue that everything should be run by the state is, in my opinion, well, pretty much bonkers. I don't think it can work. I think it denies people, for example, the option to work for themselves, to be creative in the way that they wish, and frankly to take a risk by running their own business. And I don't want to see people denied that opportunity. But just as much, I don't want to see people arguing that the state should not be providing universal healthcare and universal education and providing our transport system so that everyone can access it in the sense of free roads, for example. So these things, I think, should be universal provision. There are some things that I believe actually now should be universally provided because they're so important that we might need to extend the state. Broadband is, for example, one of those things that now simply people can't live without, and yet we are totally dependent upon the private sector. It's a debate as to whether that's now right or not, given the dependence we have. But there is the crux of the point I'm making. Politics is not about all private and all state, because that is not relevant. Neither are an answer to any question that any reasonable person can raise. The issue is, where do we find the balance between what is right for the state to do and what is right for the private sector to do? And is there a role, by the way, for the voluntary sector or the charity sector as well, which there probably is in some areas, but only in some. Now, to me, that is the major political question that we face. And yet, what I wonder day in, day out is why this is not what we actually argue about. This is being recorded in October 2020, and I've heard arguments, for example, from the Conservative Party at the moment saying the private sector is going to be the source of our regeneration from the COVID-19 crisis, and the state has got to back off. This makes little or no sense, particularly if there are some things that are essential for our recovery. For example, investment in the Green New Deal, the new types of energy, the new sustainable economy that we need, which only the state can lead. Now, if that's the case, to say there's only a private sector solution closes down options. If we were to say there was only a state-based solution, it would also close down options because clearly within that same area there is innovation that only private sector companies are likely to lead. My point is, politics is not now about left or right. It might never have been about left or right. It's about finding the right mix in the middle that works for the benefit of everyone. And that is the critical political question that we have to ask. And that is the answer that we are looking for from every political party, and yet which so few politicians are willing to address. I'm Richard Murphy. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to this video series on YouTube if you're interested. Also look for us on Facebook. I am on Twitter @Richard J. Murphy. And at the same time, look at my blog, Tax Research UK, where you can find much more on these themes. And I'll see you again soon.